Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally, here in Trinidad and Tobago, Movement for Social Justice leader David Abdulah has launched a blistering attack on the foreign policy direction of the United National Congress government, accusing it of undermining regional unity, abandoning long-standing diplomatic positions, and handing over Trinidad and Tobago's sovereignty to the United States of America. All narratives also being pushed by the PNM and mainstream Kakash media. My response, unlike you, Abdullah, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar understands that we need to continue forming even a deeper relationship with the greatest democracy in the world today, the United States of America, and also they're also our greatest trading partner. All the tribal and jihadist Caribbean leaders boldly demonize the colonial countries and yet depend on the same white man to spend colonial money in order to generate foreign revenue, whether it's via tourism or you're depending on the white man's companies to come and invest in your respective countries. That's the hypocrisy. You over want to talk about Wakanda supremacy and that we can make it on our own. But yet on the other hand, all those small islands, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even Jamaica, well, Jamaica is larger than us, but still smaller compared to America. They all depend on tourism to a great extent. And yet you bad talk the same individuals that you want to come and visit your country. That's being counterproductive, people. It's also wrong, simply wrong. These same individuals who are so concerned about sovereignty barely said or did anything to discourage Maduro from attempting to annex Guyana's Essequibo region. Go and look at a map and you'll see the Essequibo region in Guyana is almost basically half of Guyana that Maduro wants to claim as his own. You tribal patriots are also the first in line to visit or migrate to the USA. Little PNM country is in New York. That is little PNM country. A whole set of Trinidadians live there and most of them are PNM supporters. And then you want to talk about the white man country where they always fly. Most of the old time artists and even a lot of the new artists reside in New York and in America. But you always bad talking the people country. Kamla Persad-Bissessar came out and said that at all recently. Why must our Prime Minister align herself with communists in the Caribbean and radical jihadists in the Middle East? The Kakash media can continue to highlight these ridiculous statements made by politicians who can't even win one seat in Parliament. And thank God, hopefully he will never win a seat in Parliament. But it won't change the Prime Minister's mind. I am thankful that this administration is leaning on the conservative side of politics, which holds on to Western civilization and biblical values. She may not be a born-again Christian. There are a lot of things that the Prime Minister will say and do and whatsoever that as a born-again Christian, I will not agree with. But the reality is she definitely leans much more on the Christian conservative side of politics than the People's National Movement. Caribbean Airlines is seeking a bailout from the government. The Guardian media investigation reveals several options were presented to the Finance Ministry, including scrapping the airbridge subsidy as the airline fights to navigate a turbulent future. Thus far, the board is staying silent on a proposed fuel surcharge and broader bailout plans, even as former finance official Brian Manning warns the situation could worsen and have serious economic fallout. Brian Manning, who caused this whole problem in the first place. And why it is BWI is never managed properly when the PNM is in office, which PNM has been in office for most of our independence. So you want to blame Kamla, UNC, Pandey, the deceased Pandey? Who are you going to blame? At the end of the day, I do hope that something is done because I don't want to end up seeing UNC having to shut down BWI the way PNM has been shutting down everything that Trinidad owns, all of anything that deals with our legacy. I hope something is done because at the end of the day, people, and I am not no economist or anything like that, but I have common sense. something called common sense. Any business can thrive. Any business can prosper as long as it's properly managed. Something with Cal has been going wrong for a very long time now. A very long time now. The question is why? Why do they continue to mismanage that airline the way they have been doing?
The possible removal of the Tobago airbridge subsidy is among the most far-reaching options now under consideration by Caribbean Airlines. A Guardian media investigation reveals that the airline's board met with the Finance Ministry 2 weeks ago, seeking a government bailout amid rising fuel costs. Proposals include a fuel surcharge on tickets, higher fares, cutting lower revenue routes, and removing the subsidy that keeps the airbridge affordable. As a last resort, without support, the airline could also face shutdown. Board member Professor Selwyn Kutcho told Guardian Media he had no comment when contacted for answers on the matter. Former Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, says that the financial pressures on CAL are real because of pressure caused by international fuel costs, but warns that the proposed fixes could create even bigger problems.
The airline industry was also heavily hit during COVID, where they would have incurred huge expenses and not generated significant revenues. So it is not a surprise, I would say. And with the level of mismanagement taking place under this government, I only expect things to get worse going forward for CAL and other state enterprises.
But he says removing the airbridge subsidy would directly shut down Tobago's economy. And he wonders if Chief Secretary Fali Augustine will have anything to say to government.
To do that would be to starve Tobago. So I would love to hear what the THA and Mr. Fali would have to say about that. The subsidy on the airbridge was one, to make it affordable for Tobagonians to come to Trinidad and Tobago and to receive their goods and services from Trinidad to ply their trade, whatever trade it is they may have in Tobago. Also, secondly, it was to allow for more tourists to find it affordable to travel between Trinidad and Tobago.
Neither the Finance Minister nor the Chief Secretary could be reached for comment. The decision now facing CAL and government whether to fund the airline or accept major cuts could directly impact travel between Trinidad and Tobago. Elizabeth Gonzalez, CNC3 News.
Secretary of Tourism Zorisha Hackett said Tobago cannot rely solely on sand, sea and sun to attract visitors to the island. Hackett was speaking at the Assembly Legislature last week during debate on a motion to declare April 30th Main Ridge Day, commemorating 250 years since the rainforest was declared a protected reserve. The motion was passed unanimously. Hackett said the decision in 1776 showed that an understanding that the environmental protection of your people is not separate from its development. Yeah, you can't go on build homes in forested areas. We need to preserve our forest. As part of the celebrations, the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited will be unveiling an immersive digital Main Ridge experience using Google Street View and virtual reality. Hackett said this will digitally capture the rainforest ecosystem, create 360-degree navigational experience, and provide global access to the island's interior so people can become more and more aware of our natural flora and fauna here in Trinidad, and of course, definitely in Tobago, because Tobago depends a whole lot more on tourism than even here in Trinidad. But we need to push it on both islands. But by providing this visually stimulating experience, Hackett said potential visitors would realize Tobago is more than just a coastline. Hiking people, a lot of my travel videos that I do on a daily basis now, it's about hiking. It's not just about going to the beach. A lot of people love that, including myself. Heritage that is not activated becomes history, but heritage that is structured, interpreted, and positioned becomes economic, educational, and global capital, she said. Hackett said Tobago's UNESCO MAN and the Biosphere designation elevates the island considerably. I hope that they continue to promote tourism there in Tobago, and not really just for the entire nation's benefit, but for Tobago, because they want autonomy, and therefore they will be able to utilize a lot of that revenue being generated via tourism to sustain themselves on that island.
Good day, Trinidad and Tobago. Here is your weather outlook for Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. We are looking at a classic mix of sun and localized showers across both islands tomorrow. Expect a bright start to the morning, but keep those umbrellas handy as daytime heating is likely to trigger some scattered showers across various communities by midday. The forecast breakdown. Conditions generally fair and sunny morning, becoming cloudy at times with a 45% chance of light to moderate showers. There is a slim possibility of an isolated heavy shower or thundershower favoring western areas of Trinidad during the afternoon. Temperatures, it's going to feel warm out there. We're looking at a high of 31 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 30 degrees Celsius in Tobago, with overnight lows dipping to a comfortable 23 degrees Celsius. Winds and seas, winds will remain moderate from the east-northeast. For our fisherfolk and sea bathers, seas are slight to moderate with waves up to 1.5 meters in open waters, generally good conditions, but watch for choppy seas near heavy showers. Air quality, sensitive groups should take note that a mild concentration of Saharan dust remains in the atmosphere, so keep those inhalers close if you're prone to respiratory issues.
Regional news now. The Green Climate Fund has approved a US $50 million climate adaptation project for Jamaica to strengthen resilience in the country's agricultural sector through support for vulnerable small farmers. The government announced on Monday, of course, as the Andrew Holness administration has been doing a lot of mediocre work for the past 10 years, but seems to be still a much better option than the opposition. The initiative is expected to benefit more than 736,000 people, including 334,000 women in communities exposed to worsening climate impacts such as drought, stronger hurricanes, and erratic rainfall, said a statement from the Ministry of Water, Environment, and Climate Change. Now, people, I am kind of way in the middle when it pertains to this topic. I do know my conservative friends do not really consider this issue as an issue. I do believe in pollution. I do believe that we are affecting our climate to an extent. I don't believe the solution, though, is to get rid of cows and cars, like the Green New Deal and the radical left one. Because at the end of the day, their agenda is only to force the common man into giving up those luxuries while they will continue to fly in their jets and use their vehicles and so forth, because they are important people. So as I said, I believe in the balance. I am kind of way more in the middle. I want our environment to be clean. I want our air, our atmosphere to be clean as well. I don't want pollution to be taking place. But I also do believe it's still depending on the energy industry as our backbone. And the transition will take probably decades, because we cannot just depend on renewable energy, solar energy, and so forth at this point in time, even when it pertains to vehicles and so forth. So that's why I believe, in my opinion, many may not on my conservative side may not agree with me, but in my opinion, there's need for balance when it pertains to this issue. The University of Guyana will, from the first week of April 2026, launch a nationwide pre-medical program across all 10 administrative regions in the decisive move to strengthen the country's healthcare workforce and expand access to tertiary education. The initiative, spearheaded by UG's College of Medical Sciences, marks a significant scale-up in training capacity as Guyana accelerates the construction of 14 new hospitals and advances its broader health sector transformation agenda. People under the Irfan Ali administration, 14, people, not 4. Like the PNM love the number 4. Yes, 4%, no, 14 hospitals. The regional rollout forms part of the university's long-term 1 graduate per household target under its Blueprint 2040 and aligns directly with the government's push to decentralize access to quality education. According to UG, the program is expected to serve approximately 200 students in its initial phase, with delivery structured to ensure regional inclusivity while maintaining the international academic standards. Vice Chancellor Professor Paloma Mohammed Martin underscored the strategic importance of the initiative, positioning it as a foundational pillar in modernizing healthcare delivery in their country of Guyana. The long-anticipated reinstatement of pre-2014 term leave for eligible teachers in Barbados will take effect from April the 1st, Minister of Education Transformation Chad Blackman announced on Monday. This sounds like good news yet again for public servants there in Barbados. As I keep saying recently, it seems as though Mia Motley is being voted back in over and over again for some good reason. He said the move follows years of discussion and engagement with unions, with arrangements put in place to ensure adequate teaching coverage and minimize disruption to students. Blackman was speaking during a press briefing where he was joined by the various teachers' unions and other ministry officials. So once again, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, this sounds like something good. People from Barbados who view my videos, I mean, there's not a lot of you, but when you do, I mean, comment and let me know what you think about what is taking place there.
Namely, the reinstating of what is commonly referred to as the pre-2014 terms leave to those teachers who meet the criteria. Now, I must say that this month makes 1 year in being the Minister of Education. And amongst many other issues, one of the front burner issues that met me on day one was this one. I can hear Gilbert smiling because it's very true. Similarly with Mary and the BSTU. And I made the commitment then that notwithstanding, of course, that at that point in time, it had been 11 years of discussion and back and forth, that I was committed, working, of course, with our ABLE team and our partners in the unions to bring some level of not just closure, but to put it in a position that would benefit all, and in particular, our teachers. You'd also recall that last year in December in Parliament, the Prime Minister would have indicated that we are going to reinstate, but of course, subject to discussions with three ministries. Of course, Education, Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Public Service. And therefore, this also included ensuring that the schools would have adequate teaching capacity, and the designated teachers, of course, take their leave so as to avoid any learning loss. Now, of course, we're very mindful that this issue, of course, would have taken a very long time, one which would have started, of course, under previous administration. There's no secret there. But through the dedication of the ministry and the unions, we all know here today. But I would wish to start by unreservedly, and I want to make this clear, start by unreservedly thanking our unions for not just their patience, but their strong advocacy, holding us, of course, to the fire, but doing so in good faith, and being able to represent their members and the interests of their members so as to ensure that not just that this issue was brought to a closure, but that our teachers can continue doing the fantastic work that they're doing. I also therefore want to thank the teachers themselves too, who continue to be a very strong voice, of course, through their unions, in ensuring that the ministry and the government would treat to this very important issue.
Commissioner Harrison Thompson urged the public to review voter registration, transfer, and verification requirements ahead of the upcoming general election in Bahamas following the prorogation of Parliament. In a statement issued Sunday, Thompson said satellite registration stations have been strengthened with additional teams and separate lines to improve efficiency, and a hotline will be introduced to assist the public. He confirmed that first-time voters need only present a valid passport and swear an oath with no proof of address required, while previously registered voters remain eligible to vote with valid identification even without a voter's card. But you need an ID. You see what I'm talking about? Unlike the woke radical left in America, the Democrats that don't want people to use ID. He also clarified rules for voters who have moved, noting timelines that determine whether they must transfer or can vote in their constituency. The thing about it is you have to be careful about that because you can end up having voter padding. And emphasize that verification and biometric cards are encouraged but not required. Thompson urged the public to visit registration offices early to confirm their details and avoid delays on election day. The reason why I said that is because remember they said something about not having to show where you're residing, especially for the youths, and to me that kind of be a little bit concerning. International news now. IDF that's the Israeli Defense Force, over the past 24 hours, the IDF struck 170 targets belonging to the Iranian terrorist Ayatollah regime using approximately 400 munitions. As part of the wave of strikes, the IDF continued to deepen the damage to the regime's weapons production industry so that they won't be able to continue targeting even their neighboring countries, some of which are their own allies. In parallel, in western Iran, the IDF struck several key headquarters of armed forces subordinate to the Iranian terrorist regime, including the main Basij compound in the city of Degolan and a police station of the internal security forces in the city of Sanan Daj. President Trump is expected to visit Israel for its 78th Independence Day to receive the country's highest honor, the Israel Prize. He's also planning to meet with the president of China 3 weeks later. Together, these developments establish a clear 3-week window for the war to conclude with a decisive victory for the United States and Israel, even though the mainstream media continues to tell you that Trump is losing, and the Iranians are such a powerful, the Ayatollah is such a powerful enemy, and that basically Trump has to be begging Europe for help, and that Europe is refusing to help. So basically, they believe that Trump is going, and Israel will fail. Satan is a liar in Jesus' name. America and Israel will prevail. And all the jihadists who I'm laughing and mocking right now, what it is, Israel and America defeats Iran to whatever extent, even if there's no regime change, but disables them, prevents them from having the capability to attack any of their surrounding, their neighboring countries. When that happens, the whole narrative will shift, So you see the colonizing Iran now. Anything. It's just to continue being negative against Israel and America. The Iranians understand this as well and now face a stark choice. Endure the complete destruction of their water, electricity, and energy infrastructure, or accept a deal that requires abandoning their nuclear ambitions, handing over enriched uranium, dismantling all enriched facilities, relinquishing control of the Strait of Hormuz, which they continue to try to control. And now I read last night, they want to even start to charge people a fee to be able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, halting the production and storage of long-range ballistic missiles, which they are using to attack their neighboring countries, and ending the support of their proxies. And their proxies are Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, those main three. So all that will need to stop. Will the Ayatollah regime agree with those conditions? I highly doubt so. President Trump posted a video from 1987 where he called it on Iran perfectly when people saying that Trump changed Trump seems as though he was always leaning on the conservative side. It's just that he wasn't that much into politics back then. And that's why a lot of the leftist radical Democrats loved him back then. The real culprit is Iran. Why can't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea? He said back then, 1987. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations. And I mean, grab it and keep it. And get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran. And even back then, they're talking about 40 years ago.
Because I'm running for the presidency. I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You're going to have a war. And it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations. And I mean grab it and keep it. And get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Now for the interesting fact segment, a heartwarming moment in Winston-Salem honored 104-year-old firefighter Robert Greer with a parade of fire trucks outside his home. 104, what a blessed age. I hope the rapture takes place long before I reach that age, but what a blessed age to reach. Greer was among the first 8 black African firefighters to join the Winston-Salem Fire Department in 1951, serving proudly for 30 years during segregation-era America. Of course, that is the negative aspect of America's past. That doesn't mean everything was bad. Reflecting on integration, he said, teamwork and faith made the journey easier. His message remains powerful today. Trust in God, stay strong, and keep moving forward with love and purpose.
Welcome to Real Conservative News Travel Adventures. Prepare to have your breath taken away by the sheer, dramatic verticality of the Black Canyon of the Gunnison in western Colorado. Unlike the wide Grand Canyon, this hidden gem is narrow, deep, and impossibly steep. Some spots see only 33 minutes of sunlight a day, making it look almost black. It's a road tripper's dream, offering incredible, easily accessible, panoramic views from the rim, spectacular stargazing as an international dark sky park, and steep, rugged hiking trails. What makes it special? The depth. This place is steep, up to 2,700 feet down to the Gunnison River, with dark, painted-looking canyon walls that feel like they're closing in the best way possible. No crowds. It's one of Colorado's least visited national parks, offering a serene experience compared to others, with roughly 300,000 visitors a year. The views. You don't need to hike for miles to see the best spots. The Rim Rock Drive on the South Rim provides easy access to stunning viewpoints, including the breathtaking painted wall. Top tips for your trip. Which rim? The South Rim is open year-round, popular, and easy to access from Montrose. The North Rim is more remote, rustic, and closes in winter. Note, there is no bridge between them. It's a 2+ hour drive to get from one side to the other. Best time. Summer is perfect for camping and hiking, but fall is ideal to avoid the crowds, with cooler weather. Late spring brings wildflowers. Activities. Take the East Portal Road down into the canyon for fishing or picnicking. Note, very steep. Hike the Rim Rock Nature Trail or the longer Warner Point Trail. Pack essentials. Bring layers. It's high elevation, plenty of water, and bug spray. Whether you're peering over the edge from the Rim Drive or just enjoying the absolute silence of nature, Black Canyon is a truly worth it stop on a Colorado adventure. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all, in Jesus' name.